Welcome to the Becca Podcast, where I share insights to help you reshape your mindset and cultivate a healthy perspective. A healthy mindset is essential, especially when facing challenges and staying motivated to keep pushing forward. I may not have all the answers, but I invite you to sit back, enjoy the episode, and take away something meaningful as I dive in. So, striking a balance isn't the easiest thing, but it's something that you gradually work on, and I want to encourage you and give you tips on how to do that or how to do those things. Progress with time and do better. But in the meantime, so the topic for today is balance, striking a balance between two extremes. So the reason why this topic came up today is because it's been on my mind for a while. Not necessarily in this pattern, but because I find that whenever I share a topic or a concept or a philosophy, I worry about people taking it to the extreme or not taking it seriously enough to reap a lot of the benefits. So I wanted to talk on the art of balance, but more specifically emotional balance, and with feelings, with affection, with kindness. Talking about the extreme ends of the spectrum when it comes to emotions or emotional availability and emotional detachment. On one hand, the extreme is emotional overload, where you feel too deeply, which isn't a fault of yours. Some people are just wired that way. Some people have become that way due to circumstances in their lives. Some people have become that way from being manipulated by other people, or just let me just leave it as circumstances in life, and they start to care too much about what other people think of them, about how they are perceived, about how much value they're adding to people, about how much they give. So sometimes it's not really about the other people, it's not about the other person. They're just really kind, and I feel that human nature is selfish by default, and they're easily taken advantage of. So imagine that person in your family or in your circle who is always there to listen, who is always there to bend over backwards just to help you, who is really kind, ready to give their last item just for the other person, who is in no way selfish. They're very selfless to a fault, but then you find that after some time they get very drained. They are easily emotionally triggered because they put their hearts on the line. They put they wear their emotions on their sleeves. Not everybody, but more often than not, people who are like that are very, I don't know, they take a lot of things very personal. Like I said, no fault of theirs, but this is like the extreme of emotional availability. So they tend to get overwhelmed very easily, they tend to feel drained, they tend to need validation from other people to confirm that, oh, they've done a lot of what they've done. They tend to, you know, have really high expectations of other people because they give so much. And for me, that's just preparing yourself for failure. Now, that's on one end of the spectrum. Now, on the other extreme are the people that are emotionally detached. They it usually initially comes off like a superpower, like, oh, this person can say no at any time. They are not, at the first sign of trouble, they've split. At the first sight of discomfort or inconvenience, they are like, they are very secure with their boundaries and saying no and kind of limiting the access people have to them, or they are really good at creating walls between themselves and other people. So they're very comfortable not picking up calls, they're very comfortable not responding to messages. Once again, no fault of theirs. Some people are just naturally this way, and some people have been wired to become this way due to life circumstances, and it just feels safer there. That being said, when you get too comfortable in this space of being overly detached, you kind of shut out the people that truly care about you, or the people that you would have truly cared for, because there's a big wall, there's a large wall blocking, there's an invisible wall blocking you from those people and blocking those people from you, and it kind of takes away from the joy and peace and excitement that comes from community, that comes from communing with others. We already said that with community, and that comes from companionship. You kind of just shut yourself out. So today's topic is focused on how do we go from being at these extremes to coming to the middle point. That's what I want to talk about today. Well, I kind of already gone halfway, but yeah, I want to share lessons on how we can fight those things. Now, first of all, before we even get to coming to the midpoint, we need to assess ourselves, do some introspection, pardon me, do some introspection and find out where we are. So do a self-assessment. How is your relationship with your family? How's your relationship with your friends? If you're in a relationship or in a marriage, how is that relationship? How is the relationship with your immediate family, say parents, children, siblings, and maybe acquaintances? It doesn't even have to be like close knit circle. Extend it. How are you with strangers? How are you with yeah, just in general, do an assessment. An honest assessment doesn't have to be a conversation with other people, just you. You know you. A lot of times we tend to be in denial, so this is not the time for that, which is why I say it's a conversation with you. So you may not want to tell other people that, oh, you know what, I think I overdo it sometimes, or I think I don't do enough, I'm not kind enough, I'm not there for people enough. It's a bit not comfortable. So do your own inner reflection, your introspection, and find what end of the spectrum you are, how far gone you are, or how close you are to the midpoint. And then from that point, we move on to phase two. Now, phase two in this case is different for both categories, or for either category. So if you're overly emotionally detached, your remedy is different from if you're overly available, if you care too much. But yeah, so first, after we've done the assessment, determined where we are as a people, or determine where you are as a person, the next step is to write down things you consciously want to do to stop you from being the person that you are. So I'll start with people that are overly emotionally available, who are always there, which is a bad thing. It's not a bad thing to be kind, it's not a bad thing to be caring, it's not a bad thing to be loving and to be available and to bend over backwards for other people. Not at all. I'm not even trying to fault that. I'm just trying to help you not feel drained by those things that you do for people, or by being available for people. So a few real life tools for striking that balance. Once we've done our assessment, if you're someone who feels like you lack healthy boundaries and you're too available and people take advantage of you, you need to be more aware of the things that push you to be that person. Like I said, you may just naturally be a kind person, no fault of yours. You may have been forced to become that person due to circumstances in maybe early childhood, early adulthood, regardless. Things happen and people change. So you need to, not we, you need to find out where that started from, or where that stemmed from. Maybe speak to a professional. If you are self-aware enough, you could sit with yourself and just journal things down, things that come to mind, and what pushes you to be that person. Why do you feel the need to be present, to be helpful, to be kind, to be loving, to be a good listener, to be patient? Like, what fuels you to be that person? Does it come from a place of needing validation from other people? Does it come from a place of a higher power pushing you to be a kind person? Does it come from fear of being left alone? Does it come from fear of not being enough? Does it come from fear of just not doing enough? Because you may just feel inadequate and you feel that, oh, that's a way to substitute. Does it come from maybe some self-esteem issues? There are so many things that could lead to people being that way. So you need to look into why you're that person, and then think of the things that drain your energy. When do you feel overly exerted? Is it when you listen, and nobody's listening to you? Is it when people don't take you seriously? Is it when people keep asking and asking and asking and asking till you start to draw blood just to be there for them? Is it when people take you for granted? Just find out where your issues are, what exerts you, what drains you, and note it down so you can find the antidote to that thing. So if it's a case of people taking you for granted, learn to stand up for yourself, be more assertive. If it's a case of people overstepping their boundaries, learn to say no. Learn to put people in their place. They may not like it, but if it's a case of you being uncomfortable with being honest, with saying your mind, you have to walk in that discomfort sometimes. So start small. You could start saying your mind jokingly. You could send messages if you don't want to have face-to-face conversations, until you get used to it. So there are so many things you could do, but that's just a few. Now we've done some introspection, we've assessed ourselves, we've written things down as to where we want to change. Then the next thing on the list, I would say this is number 3, is to now have a daily check-in. What am I doing? How did I feel yesterday? How did my interactions feel yesterday? Did I feel like I did too much? What are my plans for today? Just a daily check-in with yourself. Ask yourself, how am I feeling today? Before you start asking other people, ask yourself how you're feeling. Now, for the person that is emotionally detached, similar advice to you as well is do some introspection. Why are you this way? Have you always been this way? Did something occur in your life that pushed you to creating those walls, to not being available for other people, to not being as kind as you could be, to not being as giving as you could be? Did something prompt you to become that person, or have you just always been that girl or that guy or that man or that woman? Look into it so you can intentionally create buffers that remind you to do more for other people, to be more present for other people. If you're someone who just doesn't like to be disturbed, why? Were you disturbed as a child? Were you craving space, and then now you have space, you've gotten comfortable with it? So same thing as the overly attached person. Just think about it. What was I not doing? Or what did I not get? Or what triggered it? Do the whole assessment thing, write it down, and then write the intentional things you want to start doing to not be that person anymore. On the two ends of the spectrum, we're trying to come to the middle, and coming to the middle means, so if you're overly attached, you want to be more open, you want to open yourself up a bit more, you want people to have a bit more access to you. And then if you're an overly available person, you want to learn how to create boundaries, how to build, let's not say a full wall, but a picket fence, just something that lets people know, okay, let's stop, ask for permission before we proceed. So now next thing on our list is pause before reacting. So now we have a list. It doesn't come automatic. You're trying to change your pattern of behavior. It's not going to come easy. It's going to take time. So to do this much easier, which is not easy in itself, pause before you react. So a thing happens, you pause and you respond, which kind of links to my previous topic on stoicism as a philosophy and how to adopt it in today's world. Is anything outside the sphere of your control, just you can't control things. I've come to realize you cannot control the way people think about you, how they perceive you, circumstances of life. You can only control the things that you do and how you respond to the world and to people. So anything outside of this, just let it go. Next thing comes up, is this within my control? If it's not, breathe, let go. And you need to constantly remind yourself of why you want to be that person. So this is the next item on the list. You need to keep reminding yourself as to why it's important to change and to evolve. What makes it so relevant to your existence and your long-term growth? Keep reminding. So I would say note it down, write it down so you do not forget. If you are someone who keeps to yourself, try to consciously, like a pill, reconnect with other people. So even people you don't particularly like, try to connect with them just as a training on your journey to developing better emotional attachment. If you're someone who is overly attached, seeks so much validation from people, try to not always, so maybe take a break from people every now and again. Be with your own self, do things for yourself. Remember, recognize that you are also a human being that needs to be cared for, that needs to be loved, that needs to be appreciated. So all that energy you put on other people, put it on yourself. So that's my assignment for either people on this spectrum. And I really did not want this video to go too long, so I'm just going to wrap it up here. And I hope that the message I'm trying to pass across was received. Like I said, this is the first video of many to come, and I hope you enjoyed the video. You share with someone who you think it would be relevant to, it will help, and I hope you have learned something. I would implement it, and I really like it if you could drop a comment below. Subscribe on YouTube and Spotify, and I don't know. Oh yes, busy with Becca Podcast, obviously. But yeah, so